All right, well, good afternoon. My name is Mark Floyd. I'm the general manager for the exchange over Heidelberg, Mannheim, and Stuttgart. We just wanted to, next slide please, post our operating hours that are currently at our Mannheim facilities at the main store, gas station, and the shopette. We pretty much have 7-day-a-week coverage with the exception of the main store on Mondays. The next slide shows our food facilities operating hours. And again, we pretty much have 7-day-a-week coverage for all of food concepts. One thing that our retail stores particularly use that we want to share with you is what we call a shuttle program. So we typically shuttle merchandise between the 3 installations, Mannheim, Heidelberg, and Stuttgart, on a regular basis to make sure we're well in stock. And given that information, if you ever see a need that you need some merchandise that may be at another exchange, feel free to contact the facility managers. All of our retail and food facilities have independent managers, and they'll be happy to grab that merchandise. The shuttle runs several times throughout the week, so we'll be sure and get that merchandise picked up for you. Next slide. And then just something upcoming for those motorcycle enthusiasts. We have our exchange new car sales setting up at the Mannheim Benjamin Franklin Village for a Harley Davidson show. That's going to be the 14th and the 17th through the 17th. So we invite you out to view that. So again, we'll take questions at the end if you have any for the exchange, and also through the Facebook postings. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Cheryl Luddington. I am your Heidelberg Commissary Store Director. As we know, Mannheim will be closing before Heidelberg. I just want to make a few mentionable items that the needs that you have at Mannheim, we will assist in every way with the Mannheim Commissary and do everything that we can to get everything to Mannheim that they need to service and provide you. At this time, Heidelberg has not changed any hours. We are fully operational. We are here to meet your needs. Recently, the Mannheim Commissary just started to close on Mondays and Tuesdays, and their hours did change. However, we are open from 9 to 9, except for on Sundays. But we do open for early bird in Heidelberg at 7:30. Just to let you know that again, if you have any events coming up, we will be happy to assist you, and we can always get the product from Heidelberg to Mannheim in every way that we can. I will now be followed by Lieutenant Colonel Smith, the Heidelberg Medical Activity. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Rachel Smith. I'm the commander of the Coleman Troop Medical Clinic. I'm here today representing Colonel Crossland, the commander of the Heidelberg Medical Activity. These are our clinic hours. There are no changes to our clinic hours or our pharmacy hours. We are open Monday through Friday. For care, we are closed on the weekends and federal holidays. Some of the critical resources available to you are our TRICARE Nurse Advice Line, with the number listed here, as well as our appointment line. Another very critical resource that we have available for you is our patient liaisons. Their contact information is listed here. They are out in our host nation facilities working with and assisting our inpatients. Another critical resource is the web link here that is a guide to our host nation healthcare facilities. This has a lot of important information for you regarding the host nation facilities that we refer to give you some information about each of those facilities, locations, and contact information. It is important that you know about these facilities in your communities, and not to wait for an emergency to know where the closest host nation facility is to you. For emergencies, we do have the numbers for Mannheim and Coleman listed here, as well as Heidelberg. No changes to those numbers. Next slide, please. Some other critical resources are listed here. These are important tools to facilitate communication between the medical activity and you, our patients. It's important that you ensure your DEERS is updated, whether it be you've moved, you've had a change in marital status, or you've had a new dependent that you need to add. These changes need to be added. Any mistakes in DEERS does cause problems with eligibility and other TRICARE issues. We have a patient satisfaction survey that is mailed out after you have an appointment within our facility. This is called the Apples survey. You'll receive that in the mail several weeks after you've had your appointment. It's very important that you fill out this survey and return that to us. This is information that we receive from you to tell us what we're doing well, what we need to sustain, where we can improve or focus our efforts. It's also an ability for us to provide additional resources to our facilities. The TRICARE online services is available to you, and it does provide 24-hour access to our appointments. Some of the upcoming events that we have going on, something new that we recently added at Heidelberg to accommodate some of these high unit moves, is the EFMP screening. We have started that on Tuesdays and Fridays in Heidelberg. We are also open to working with units to do mass screening. We did a very successful event for the 214th Aviation, and we're willing to work with other units on that as well. Following today's town hall, we'll be doing a protected health information brief to our unit commanders, as well as doing that again for our unit commanders on the 10th of February at the Commanders Breakfast. The monthly patient and family-centered care meetings will start back up. We are tentatively planning a meeting for 8 February. We'll have the dates and times posted on the Facebook page. And again, there are no changes to the Coleman Troop Medical Clinic clinic hours. They are open Monday through Friday, closed on weekends, training holidays, and federal holidays. Thank you. I'll be followed by Lieutenant Colonel Chitness with the DENTAC.
Good afternoon. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Deepti Chitness. I'm the OIC at the PHB Dental Clinic right across over here. I have with me two NCOICs here today. Can you please stand up? Sergeant First Class Herzner, he is my outgoing NCOIC, and Staff Sergeant Brundage is going to be taking over as the NCOIC starting 1 February. Over the last quarter, I've lost 2 providers, mainly due to transformation. We're not going to be replacing them, and so I just wanted the community to be aware that, you know, we have lost providers. We are all shrinking down, so they will not be replaced. Next slide, please. So all the more important, this slide's all the more important as far as failed appointments. It's really imperative that we, give us sufficient time to book other appointments if at all you do have to change or cancel any appointments. Keep that in mind. The last quarter, again, we had quite a few failures, and most of our failures do come from the family members are the ones that fail mainly. All of us know that staffing and budgeting is based off of active duty numbers. So it's hard for us to justify when we have so many failures, and especially when there are family member failures. So please keep that in mind. Also, failed appointments means lost resources. It affects unit readiness because the soldier could have been in that appointment too. So please keep that in mind, and do give us timely notice if you want to cancel your appointments. And that's all I have. I'll be followed by the Dodds.
Good afternoon. My name is Jim Rumling. I'm the school's liaison officer for USAG Baden-Württemberg. This afternoon, you're going to be hearing from Heidelberg Middle School, Heidelberg High School, and one of our outstanding Heidelberg High School students, Cadet Major Mazen El Sayed. But very briefly, before Stephanie El Sayed comes up here and steals the show as usual, I would like to mention that the District Superintendent, Frank Rail, the principals of the schools, as well as the entire USAG Baden-Württemberg command group are working very, very closely together to ensure that your children receive the most robust educational environment possible through the closure operations here in Heidelberg, as well as the years out beyond. So, Stephanie El Sayed.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I was supposed to hear applause when it's from the schools. You know, you always get assemblies just like this. But thank you. Thank you. On our first slide, we like to celebrate our students at the middle school, and we have our Geography B winner, Victor Wynn, and our Spelling Bee winner, Savannah Tudlong. We're so proud of our students, and I want to say thank you, parents, for helping them study and prepare for our school competitions. Coming up on the next slide, please. You'll see that you'll have the little rascals tomorrow. They are at a school. It's our teacher work day. We'll be doing our report cards and preparing to close out this first semester. If you please note on the calendar, on the 3rd of February, next Friday, the elementary school is out of school for parent-teacher conferences, but the middle school and high school, we will be in session. So if your middle schooler or a high schooler says, we're out of school today on the 3rd, no, they're not. Please send them to me so we can have some fun. We have on the 7th of February our SAC meeting. If you have any agenda items, please let us know. We work as a team together for our programs to help improve them. And again, to celebrate our students, we have our awards assembly coming up on the 8th of February. It's a Wednesday. So please come out and celebrate with your students. There's nothing like receiving an award and looking out in the audience and seeing your parent there. Please don't think that our middle schoolers don't want to see you at their programs and their performances, because they really do. Even though you go, oh, it's time for them to go to school, and you're happy for those few 6 hours, and they come back, they want you around, trust me. Well, on that Friday, the 10th of February, we'll celebrate again with our Student of the Quarter luncheon. That's where our students are recognized for their citizenship. And we take them out to the bowling center, and they have their afternoon to enjoy each other with their parents come out, and that's their team building time as well, and a way for us to say thank you for all that they do. You know, we always have the academic part and the social part that we're pushing for our kids, so we do like to celebrate them in both of those areas. If you will mark your calendars, please, for the 16th of February, we'll be having one of our emergency drills. So if you need to check out your student, please do so before 9:30, because the building may be locked down or you may be caught in it, and give us about 10 minutes to finish that exercise. On the 20th of February, there's no school. It's President's Day. And next slide, please. You'll see our 2 remaining SAC meetings for this school year, as well as our IAC meetings are posted there. And I'd like to say at this time, we just ended our first semester. We just finished second quarter today. So the kids will have tomorrow off and the weekend to regroup. And we start our third quarter and second semester on Monday. So please encourage your students not to give up. The school year's not over yet. We still have our activities that are going on right now, a lot of clubs. Please remember, we have on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays our homework club. If you'd like the students to stay in and work after school with us, there's a lot going on. Middle schoolers right now, the weather has been so wonderful, so we're happy that we've been able to let them go outside, but they're going to get a little antsy, and so I need for you parents to stay on them and keep going with, hey, school's not over yet, do your best, because we want our Panthers to do the best that they can all the time. All right, thank you very much. And I'll be followed by Heidelberg High School.
Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Brewer. I'm principal at Heidelberg High School.
And again, to echo Stephanie and also Mr. Rumling, is we plan for this year and also for next year, we will continue our robust programs. As we work in the high school, again, we're looking at graduation requirements, et cetera, and so we will be holding, as we do every spring, we'll be doing our pre-registration for next school year. And that'll be an important part for all of the parents and the students that we have the evenings at the high school, and you come there and we actually have hands-on with our counselors, teachers, administrators, and we will be working with you as we plan for our programs for next school year for 12-13. And again, even though we'll have some reduced numbers, as we know that'll happen, we will still do our very best to offer our robust programs to include AP, to include activities, athletics, and all of the things that make a high school experience. This year, we're fortunate enough, and again, we're going to have graduation again at the down in the Stadthalle, which we've done for the last 30-plus years, and I fully expect us to finish, as we're slated for closure, next June in 13. We will have that same graduation ceremony at the Stadthalle, et cetera. So there's some basic things that we will continue to have in fashion as we look at this year and also into next year. So with the slide, again, to echo Stephanie, is it's the end of the semester, and we're moving on to the next semester for all of the middle school, high school, and also for elementary students as well. We have a full slate of activities going on this winter. This weekend, obviously our basketball team is on the road. We're having our home wrestling meet. We have our winter formal this weekend downtown, and there's a number of activities. The best thing to do if you want to know what's happening at the school is to go to our website, which is if you just Google Heidelberg High School, you'll be able to see, as you go down that calendar, there's an actual month, day-by-day, month-by-month calendar, and we try and put everything we have there on the calendar. So you have that information about activities, our schedule, which is a blue day, gold day, the activities, the events, etc. Again, to echo some of the things that Stephanie talked about is important things that we have is we look at, as we move into the winter program and moving into second semester, we have the athletics and activities. So there's much opportunities for people to come out. You just check the calendar. You come every events at the high school. We're over on PHV and we'll continue that. Next slide. And I'm going to turn this over. Obviously, I'm here for questions as well as Stephanie, but I'm going to turn this over to Mezen Al-Sayed, who has a presentation to provide for you. So, Mezen.
Good afternoon, Colonel DeCoster, Magister Sergeant Satin, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Cadet Major Mezen Al-Sayed. I'm a senior at Heidelberg High School and an executive officer for the 2nd Battalion JROTC program. One of my tasks this school year was to organize a service learning activity for our cadets. I could have selected a local community beautification project, but instead I wanted to establish an activity that would not only be a relevant and meaningful experience for me, but also for my peers. Last July, I met a mother in the airport whose son was wounded in Afghanistan shortly before the end of the school year. She had been staying with her son as he was being treated for his injuries. In addition to wounds over his body, he also lost one of his legs. He was only 19 years old, which is not much older than I am and many of the students at the high school. Before this young soldier was transported stateside for his battle wounds, he was stabilized and treated at the Longshore Regional Medical Center. Did you know that over 64,000 troops have been treated at LARMC since 2002? In my research, I discovered that LARMC is the largest American military hospital outside the United States. Because a soldier who is injured downrange can arrive in Longshore in as little as 6 hours, many arrive with nothing more than a surgical gown. In 2002, nurses saw the need for clothes and supplies for their patients. Soon after, donations were sought and began arriving, and the chaplain's clothes closet was created. Because of the support of volunteers, access to the supplies is available inpatients, outpatients, and medical escorts 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Due to the ages of our high school JROTC cadets, I learned that it would be difficult for us to volunteer in the hospital near our wounded warriors. So instead, I found our resources were even better served behind the scenes in the 3 bunkers where over 1.5 tons of mail and donations per week are delivered, sorted, and distributed to the hospital for the chaplain's clothes closet. Last November, our Heidelberg High School JROTC cadets volunteered in the bunkers. We organized boxes filled with jackets, sweatpants, sweatshirts, underwear, and other clothing items. We sorted and arranged the boxes in preparation for the enormous donations that arrive annually during the holiday season. Being a part of this activity and seeing the acts of kindness from around the world in the form of much-needed clothing items for those who have been injured in battle to serve our country has caused me to reflect on the importance of community service and honoring each of you who fight for our country and for those who have sacrificed life and limb for our freedom, many of whom who aren't much older than I am. It is my hope that as your units, families, and organizations seek service projects and volunteer activities, you will consider supporting the Wounded Warrior Ministry Chaplain Center or Chaplain's Clothes Closet in Launchstool. Your time and support throughout the year are needed and will be greatly appreciated not only by this chaplain's office, but especially by the wounded men and women from downrange being treated in the hospital. Please see the point of contact information on the slide that I've created. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. Thank you very much for allowing me to share this service activity with you this afternoon. Have a nice day.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Master Sergeant Sadden. I'm the U.S. Army Garrison Acting Command Sergeant Major. Just want to take a few moments to talk about this young man. He is, besides trying to gather troops and other family members to volunteer for such a wonderful volunteer area, he also finds time to, he is a member of the football team, basketball team, and also selected to the Dodds European-wide honors jazz concert band that just performed in Brussels, Belgium. All right. He also does a lot of stuff for the community. He is his GPA is a 4.1, and when he goes off to school, he wants to be a orthopedic surgeon. All right. This is the kind of there's many out there, but today I want to honor him and recognize him. But there's many soldiers, scholar athletes out there in our Dodge system, okay? And that's the kind of the folks that we're producing. So give it up for this young man and in the Dodge school system. Okay, hold on. All right. Hold on, I'm going away. On behalf of my Commander Colonel Brian DeCoster and myself, I want to give this young man our coin for excellence. Okay, well deserved. Thank you. All right, good job.
Thanks.
Okay, all right. I'm also here to welcome Sergeant Major Griffith. He's not in the audience right now, but him and his team of recruiters are here from the Asymmetric Warfare Group based out of Fort Meade, Maryland. They will be doing the recruiting tour here in Heidelberg and all over USAG. The briefing that they're going to hold here in Heidelberg is going to be on the 30th of January, and that's at the Casablanca room. And the briefing times are from 10 to 12, 10 and 12 rather. They're looking for active duty soldiers in the ranks of Sergeant First Class to Sergeant Major, senior captains, and lieutenant colonels. There's also a list of all the other prerequisites that's on the board. But if you want to be part of this group, please attend the briefing. Okay? All right? At this time, I'm going to ask my commander, Colonel DeCoster, to come on up here, and we're going to start the open forum and questions.
Okay, now we're going to start the important part, which is getting your feedback and questions. Before we take the first question, and it looks like we already have some Facebook questions out there, and we'll also open it up to the crowd. I do want to address one question that came up in Mannheim at our last community town hall, just to highlight something that Ms. Thomas briefed on housing. The question at that time was, when are we going to get government-funded moves instead of doing a convenience move where the family out of Mannheim would have to pay for the move on their own? And as she explained, we are now doing those government-funded moves when a family is going to have to move either off post or to Patrick Henry Village. Okay, and we'll begin those in February. We have now received some funding from IMCOM region in order to do that, whereas before, under the Continuing Resolution Authority, we did not have that funding in place to start those moves. So I think that's good news for all of those, both in Ben Franklin Village and in Mark Twain Village East, because now you can get those moves fully funded from the government. So, in honor of this being our first live streamed one, why don't we take our first question from Facebook. If we have anybody from the audience who also has a question, I'd ask you to please make your way to the podium. And so as soon as we get done with the first Facebook question, then we'll go in alternate order to questions from the audience. So our first question comes from a resident of Grant Circle. And her question is, when will the Grant Circle housing area close this year? The answer to that is Grant Circle is considered to be part of Ben Franklin Village and is on the same schedule for closure. So 30 September of 2012 is when we will have to move all of the families that are remaining beyond that point out of Grant Circle. So if you have a DROS beyond 30 September 2012, please contact the housing office if you live in Grant Circle so they can start to work that move. I'd also ask you, for any of you in Ben Franklin Village, to include Grant Circle and Mark Twain Village East. When you're doing that and contacting the housing office, also talk with your unit, okay, because we will talk with your unit. There's two pieces to the story on what's the best time for you to move. Okay, and you may want to move during a certain month, and it may also coincide with a major training event for your unit. So we have to balance those two things, and the unit has a vote, and we want to make sure that we provide a smooth process for both the family and the unit in all of these moves. Do we have any questions from the audience at this point? Okay, we'll go to our second Facebook question then. This is from a family member of 1st of the 214th Aviation. The question is, I currently live off base in the Mannheim area. The Army gave us money to cover our deposit for the house. When I move to Wiesbaden this summer, will they cover the deposit again on the new house until the first landlord gives the deposit back to us? Or will we only be allowed one deposit at a time? Do we need to cover the second ourselves? I would ask Ms. Thomas to come up and address this question for us.
Thank you. And the answer is, if you have not paid your first security deposit back, then you are not entitled to a second one. If you've paid the whole amount back what you loaned before, then yes, you are entitled to a second security deposit when you move to a new duty station.
Why don't I ask you to stay up here, Ms. Thomas? We've got another question. We have a second question related to housing. The question is what the plans are for housing on Patrick Henry Village. As families move out and have empty houses, is there a possibility that a lieutenant colonel living in stairwell housing could choose to move themselves into the colonel quarters or to open apartments to live in better conditions?
You want me to answer that?
Okay, well, this is one of those areas, you know, I can tell you what I think, okay, because we haven't made policy decision yet on that. And it's something that I need to review with the senior mission commander for this area. I would tell you what I think is we will first concentrate this summer and this fall on moving the families that need to move in order for us to do the closures in Ben Franklin Village, MTVs. In fact, I know we're going to do that. We're going to concentrate on that first. And the reason for that is we've got to make sure we have adequate housing for all of those families on Patrick Henry Village before we start entertaining a bunch of convenience moves for people who want to move into something nicer. Okay? I don't have a decision yet on what we will do beyond there once we've closed BFV and Mark Twain Village East. And what it's really dependent on is how much money the garrison has. Because although it may seem to you that these moves are easy and they're convenience moves all on your part, there is money required because we have to do between occupancy maintenance then on the quarters that you want to move into. So if we have a big, I'll call it musical chairs event, where as houses become open, people start moving up and we have a chain effect all through the community, that then requires a lot of between occupancy maintenance that we will have to do in DPW, and that Ms. Thomas then has to arrange and perform in all of those quarters. I can't tell you today what our budget's going to look like for 2013 and whether we can do that. Okay, so that's a great question, but it's one of those questions I can only tell you what I think, which is that we probably will not be entertaining those moves unless it's somebody who has to move out of an area where we're closing, and in that case, we will do it as a government-funded move. Okay? Thank you.